Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Sivir supplementary guide, and today we're going to be taking a look at using IE on Sivir. So as you guys know, or may know, in my Sivir Updated Complete Guide, I said that Magnetic Blaster Sivir is the better item over IE, which I still think so. So looking at the top players, the first guy has gone for both, the second guy has gone for Soul Transfer, and the third guy has gone for both as well. Now I think some of these are a little bit of a weird builds, like the third guy, what is he building? But anyways, um, the first guy, we of course have pretty standard build, and you have a last item blaster. And yeah, anyways, we're not here to talk about the top builds. We're here to talk about my build here. So first up, I actually don't want to go for Gunner's Greaves. I actually do want to instead go for Berserker's Greaves. Now, Berserker's Greaves benefit Sivir a lot because extra attack speed means you get out more boomerangs, and also because you're missing out on the attack speed from Blaster. So I think just going for attack speed boots as your first item is very, very helpful, and it's definitely stronger in the early game compared to going for Gluttonous Greaves. Yes, Gluttonous Greaves gives you a little bit more AD, but just more attack speed allows you to get off more auto attacks. Then you have Bloodthirster. Now, Bloodthirster is going to, of course, give you that large amount of AD, the shield bow shield, as well as giving you the large amount of physical vamp. Obviously, just the best first item for any ADC who can build it. And then you have Quick Blades, right? So Navori lowers the cooldown, of course, very useful on all of your abilities, especially your W, which is your main DPS tool, and also increases your abilities damage by 12%. And this actually works on the W. So with the W, you will do, with the boomerangs, you will actually do more damage because that counts as an ability with Navori Quick Blade. So that's definitely core build on Sivir. Next up, you go for Infinity Edge. Of course, this is just going to give you extra crit damage and a lot of AD. And then, of course, you have more reminder for the Armor Pen and Grievous Wounds. Now, last item, generally you want to go for something defensive like a GA, like a Maw, but another option you have here is Black Cleaver. Now, Black Cleaver, of course, gives you health, which makes you tanky, but also gives you that Sunder passive, which, of course, shreds armor for each time it hits an enemy. And this is very useful, especially if your team has a lot of AD champions, right? If that's the case, and the enemy team is tanky, you definitely want to go for this one just to shred them down and allow your entire team to do extra damage to them. For the runes, completely standard ADC loadout. I'm not going to explain it too much. And then for the spells, you want to go for Flash, and Ghost is actually the best spell to go for. Like, going for Ghost and Ultimate gives you insane mobility to run people down or to run away, or just to generally kite around fights and dodge hostile abilities. But of course, if you need cleanse, you can still go for it. Of course, you may not always react in time with spell shield, so just having cleanse is going to be very useful. But with all that said, now let's move on to talking about our gameplay. Okay, so now let's take a look at the actual gameplay itself. So I like to play Sivir generally into a very specific situation, right? I like to play Sivir against at least two enemy frontline champions, right? So the best case scenario is there's two enemy frontline champions, in this case Set and Galio, and I can simply just auto attack them and bounce off of them, right? So here we're against a Yuumi Vayne, and here we're just pelting off onto the Vayne. Now unfortunately, the issue with this matchup is that Yuumi is going to heal Vayne back up to full health. Similarly, Soraka is going to heal me back up to full health. So it's kind of a mirror matchup in a certain sense, where Yuumi in the early game is just a heal bot. Soraka is a heal bot for basically the entire game. But of course, in the later stages of the game, Yuumi, of course, increases the AD you have as well. And of course, she has that extra utility from her ulti, which of course, Soraka has that basically equivalent utility on her E as well. So in the end, very similar kind of matchup in general. So yeah. So here my game plan is, I know that if we want to fight them, we need anti-heal, right? I think they know that as well. So here we got the priority because obviously Vayne has trash wave clear. One of the worst in terms of all the ADCs, Ezreal and Vayne, the two worst wave clearers. Sivir is basically the best, one of the best wave clearers. It's probably like Sivir and Jhin, right? Are the two best wave clearers in terms of ADCs. So I make use of that advantage. I shove the wave in, and I recall instantly and get an Executioner's Calling. This will eventually build into my Mole Reminder, but for now, you can see I basically got back to lane and lost no minions, right? So I still get these two minions that are low HP, and I've lost nothing, right? I've basically got a free base and gotten the item, right? So I also get a little bit more AD from the item. Now here, Vayne condemns the Soraka into the wall, Soraka silences, and unfortunately Soraka dies. But now I'm going to run down the Vayne, and I'm able to get the kill onto the Vayne, which is a 1-for-1 trade. However, now I'm tanking minions, so I can't really kill Yuumi. Yuumi is very deceptively tanky, and has one of the highest base health in the game, I believe. So we're not going to be able to kill her very easily. So instead, all we're going to be able to do is clear the wave, and then we can get a reset. Of course, off of that kill on Vayne. However, since the next wave is here, I don't want the wave to possibly be frozen in this position. So instead, I'm just going to quickly just attack the wave and clear it away. So now I'm able to recall. I'm going to pick up the Berserker's Greaves. Of course, as I mentioned just now in the build section, really, really good boots for Sivir. Just being able to get out more boomerangs, right? So, Vayne I think is not a very strong champion at the moment, but with Yuumi definitely helps her in terms of getting to the laning phase, helps her in the late game just to be that very, very strong carry. Now here, I get into a 1v2 against the two of them, but of course I know Soraka is coming. Horrible E by Soraka, but it's fine. In the end, we basically just get Yumi's ult for free. Vayne is of course not even level 5 yet because she died and she missed out on a couple of minions. Condemning to Soraka again. And now I'm just going to start pelting off onto the Vayne. Yuumi pops the entire healing. I cut it using my Stranger's Calling. And I think we win the trade there. Now here Warwick is getting into a 1v2 in the river. And simply just dies to the Galio and the Diana. And that's just not very nice. So now here we're in a 2v4. So we're running all the way away. Soraka in a little bit of trouble. Vayne pops the ult as well. So Vayne now has no ult. So we're slowly getting those small advantages, and this is going to culminate when we eventually try to go and fight them, where we have our summoner spells and our ultimate, whereas they don't. So Yuumi and Vayne currently both have no ultimate. Vayne, of course, has no flash. Yuumi has no ignite. And here you can see they decide to go in for a fight. So very nice silence by Soraka here. Now I'm just going in and whacking them. Yuumi detaches and procs the shield, goes back on. We get a pretty decent trade. Of course, Yuumi is healing Vayne back up, and Soraka is healing me back up. Here, you can see Lux is hiding in the bush. So Soraka baits, pops all of the healing, and Vayne, of course, is in a situation where she is way overextended, cannot really get out. And we get the freebie onto the Yuumi as well. So, 2 quick kills. 1 goes to the Lux, 1 to myself, putting me at a 2-0-1 scoreline. Now, normally I would say Sivir is not a very strong champion in lane. She's decent because she does have the wave clear, but she doesn't really have a lot of damage in lane unless the enemy team stands in the minion wave. But in this case, because Vayne has such a weak laning phase as well, we're kind of in a situation where both champions are bad, so it means one must be better than the other. And I think to some extent Sivir is better than Vayne. Of course, Vayne has good single target damage, but I just think Sivir is a way stronger champion than Vayne in general. So now we've gotten 3 plates from that exchange as well as the kill. So we recall, we pick up the Bloodthirster components, being the Vamp Scepter and the glove. And you can see here very interestingly that our team is getting completely destroyed, right? We have a 5 on O Galio at the moment, you have a 2-1-5 Diana, and you have 2-1-3 set with first item already. Right, so here Vayne goes super aggressive onto me. I have Soraka coming here, I pop the ghost, I pop the ulti, I'm now just running them down. And for some reason, Vayne decides to turn back after Yuumi gives her the healing. And actually, to be fair, she almost kills me. However, she is not able to do so. Yuumi tries to trade onto me, but unfortunately, she has a Soraka healing me in the way. And I'm able to pick up both of the kills and making me even more fit. Actually, I only got 1 of the kills, but that was fine. So here, now we're going to be able to unload on the tower and get the first tower of the game. So I'm currently the most fed member of the game, courtesy of Yuumi and Vayne kind of feeding. But you can see that there is a potential problem, right? Because we are destroying Vayne and Yuumi at the moment. However, you have Galio, Diana, and Set, all of whom are very, very fed. Not as fed as me, but they are very, very fed. And they will become problems for me later, like when Diana tries to jump on me and one-shot me, or Galio tries to do the same, or even Set, tossing a teammate into me, something like that. And I'm already anticipating that is going to become a problem. So really, this is kind of the game where on one team the bot side's winning and on the other team the top side's winning, and it just becomes a question of when the Titans clash, who is stronger. And definitely my team is not helping me with that case because Warwick is now 1-5-1, dies to Galio once again, and is making my job way harder, right? Because enemies are getting fed. Thankfully, they kill the Set, and they get something back at least. So I'm for now just staying in my lane, literally, and I'm just clearing up the minions. We're gonna cancel the back of the Vayne here. Sorry about that message. I forgot to silence my phone. Apologies. So anyways, here Diana is here on vision. I think she auto targeted that Q onto the Crux. And she's now roaming to mid where Lux is super overextended, about to get collapsed on by 4 people. Now I'm not gonna bother to follow the roam. I'm just gonna push in the wave. And because I don't really want to run after them. Like Sivir is not really a champion that wants to run people down for the most part. Like of course you do have those dream fights where you have your team with you and you can run people down together. But as a champion like alone, you don't really want to run someone down by yourself because you're really squishy and you can very easily get collapsed on and just die. So I choose not to follow the roam there. So now we're just going to clear up this wave, no big deal. And we're basically just farming it up and waiting to see eventually whether we will win against the top side of the map, right? So here, once again, my team is still dying to the enemy top side, and that's no good. So we're slowly making our way there to see if we can make the difference in the fight. But one of the key things when you have a strong bot side and a strong top side is you want to pick your moment, right? You don't want to have a situation where your team just dies and then you walk in and then you die as well and the game is pretty much over at that point. So here, speaking of which, I get condemned into the wall here. I managed to spell shield the Yuumi out here, and here I get my shield bow procs. And here I very foolishly try to pick a 2v2 with Soraka now coming to back me up, right? But the reason why I say foolishly is because Yuumi has been buffing the Vayne this entire time, but Soraka only came in at the back end of the fight. And that means that she only has limited time to get off her healing on me, and obviously I'm not that fat that I can just, get away with that. So I end up giving away a free kill to Vayne, and this is just horrible, right? Because this kind of semi gets Vayne back into the game, and that is just not what we want whatsoever. So, I mean, that's a mistake, but before that mistake, assuming we still had our shutdown and everything, you want to pick your moment to fight the strong top side, right? You don't want to have a situation where you run in after your team dies, you die as well, you give them their shutdown, your shutdown, and then the game's just over, right? So you want to find a time where, like, you can use your teammates as your front line, as your shield, and then you DPS them from the back, and you free hit on them, and then you are going to be able to, of course, take over the fight and hopefully win your team the game, and, something like that, right? So here, somehow my team is clawing it back. They've killed Set as well as Gather, and now Diana finds herself in a very awkward position. She dies as well. So, arguably, my team kind of salvaged it themselves. I didn't really do anything here, and they're able to basically get all of the enemy team shutdowns and get all of the relevant kills. Now, of course, they are still kind of behind their... Actually, they're not even really behind their counterparts anymore. They're kind of even with their counterparts now, which is really huge. It shows how much a shutdown can actually do for you. But, now the game state is actually pretty good, because now with them being even, and with myself being ahead, it means that as a team, we are kind of ahead. So now the next dragon is going to be spawning. Warwick is still feeding completely. 2 and 7 at the moment. Dragon is going to be spawning. We secure the skull here to get the vision, and we're going to be contesting this dragon, hopefully. I really want to look for a fight here. So of course now we're at the area before the dragon spawns, ready to rock and roll, but our team of course is not, right? Warwick is dead, and there's not a lot we can do, right? So basically we're just, there's not a lot we can do, we're just gonna walk away, right? Because although we wanted to fight the dragon, we couldn't, or maybe we can, right? Now Set's coming in, as is Galio. Now we don't want to take that fight, we don't really have our front line with us right now. Warwick is only now just coming. So here you can see we are popping the LT, we're popping the ghost, and we're trying to kite it out. So look at this, right? 4 of them here, we're just DPSing onto whoever's the closest target. We're taking a lot of damage, but we are able to kill the Vayne. And then Yuumi comes as a free gift because there's no one close enough to attach to her. She goes down. Now Set is the next target. He's going to go down eventually as well. We pick up the triple kill here, and this is exactly what I was talking about. The fight that you want to engage with the enemy team with has to be, well, I wouldn't say on your own terms, because technically the enemy team was the one that kind of forced the fight and we won the fight. However, you want it to be a fight where you're not at a very, very big severe disadvantage, right? You don't want to be running in when your teammates die. So you saw just now, since Warwick was dead and Darius was on the wrong side of the map, we're not the ones running in there initiating the fight. But when they do initiate the fight, we're just cutting back and just fighting it out, right? Of course, we could just run instead of fighting. But in this case, Warwick was coming in, Darius was coming in, and it was actually good, looking to be a pretty good fight. And we end up acing the enemy team cleanly. We pick up the dragon, and the whole game now turns on its head, where we now have a huge lead against the enemy team. In fact, pings are coming up for Baron. I'm not sure if this is the most amazing Baron. Personally, I wouldn't have done this Baron. But since my team is pinging it, Yuumi and Vayne are on the wrong side of the map. Here, I'm just bouncing off the Baron onto the lot of them with the bounces. And because they chose to jump into the pit and contest, they all die because they don't have their tools anymore because they used it in the last fight. They don't have their flashes and their dashes or whatnot. Like, you can see all of their summon spells are on cooldown except like Diana's Ghost. I don't know why she has Ghost instead of Flash, but they're all just stuck in the pit, right? And here, I still have my Flash and my Ghost, and I've not popped it in either fight. So, I am still at, like, full power, right? Like, to some extent, League is a little bit of a turn-based game, right? A Wild Rift is a little bit of a turn-based game, right? Because when you pop other summoner spells and you get a good fight, enemy team might now have their summoner spells and they might get a good fight. But in this case, I still have my summoner spells, and Gale just runs in 1v5, Set just runs in 1v5, and the enemy team is just falling apart, getting destroyed by us, right? So now I'm 9-1-8, and you'll notice in this game, I actually decided to go for the Mull Reminder before IE, and the main reason I did that is because number one, I already have it partially built from the Executioner's Calling that I got like at level 2, level 1, level 2, and the second reason is that the tanky front line of the Galio and the Set is actually a little bit hard to deal with, so we wanted the extra tool to deal with it, and now imagine when we hit our IE, we're going to be melting them. So now we've got the top lane inhib, we've gotten a bunch of kills, and we're in a very, very dominating position. 10k gold ahead now. It's pretty much now our game to lose. So we got from a very, very even game to a very, very far ahead game. So now all we need to do is not mess it up, and we just need to be in a good spot. So here, Vayne, I think it's baited by the fact that she saw me alone, but I wasn't alone. There was a Darius and a Soraka behind me. And as a result, I was able to basically just murder them, and they're even further deeper into the pit. Right, now we're going to be able to get this tier 2 tower pretty much uncontested. Only the top side is left. Of course, the top side is the one that was strong previously, but has since started feeding as well. Now here, Warwick, I can see why he's feeding, right? He just ults into 3 people for no reason while I'm trying to take the tower. I eventually get the tower here. And here, I'm trying to make use of the wave to bounce off and just deal my damage, which you can just look at that damage onto the Galio. Galio goes down. I become legendary. And we're now in a situation where we got both side lane inhibs, right? Which is a dream situation, in my opinion. Now, enemy team is respawning. Now, here is normally a situation where you want to be backing off, right? You don't want to overextend in the enemy base and overstay your welcome and get run down by the enemy team, right? That's kind of what Vayne's trying to do here. But I'm thinking in this situation, we're so strong that I don't think we're going to get run down. So I'm thinking that we can push our advantage and just go for it. But you can see I'm slowly getting proven wrong, right? I get my shield bow popped or like my bloodthirster popped, and I'm taking a lot of damage. Just look at that damage, right? Soraka is healing me back up. But I think at this point, I should have kind of realized that we are not really as strong as we think we are anymore, and we kind of need to back off. Right, so here, I'm actually back to full health off Soraka's healing. Set gets a 3-man Haymaker, I forgot what it's called, but the 3-man pull, and then Diana now comes in. I'm taking a bit of damage, but you can see I still pick up a double kill, so I'm thinking like, yeah, you know what? We can just end the game here, we can force it, right? So here, I walk in, I tank a tower shot, and then I'm trying to end the game here. And I somehow tank another tower shot, and I die to Galio. I'm really not sure how I got hit by that tower shot, because I thought someone else was tanking. And then I basically die and give Galio a shutdown. Now, I think that the real shame here is that we didn't end the game. I think if I didn't take that tower shot and the next minute wave came in, I think we might have been able to end the game right then and there. Right, but off of that death, we pick up the IE, and we also built towards the Black Cleaver. Right, so now we're basically full crit build, and we're ready to rock and roll for the next fight. Right, we've lost the Ghost, but we still have our Flash, we still have our ult, and by the time the next fight's here, we probably are going to have Ghost, and we're probably going to be able to just take over the fight and just run over the enemy team. So next fight is probably going to be at Baron. You can see Warwick is making his way to Baron, as is Lux. Enemy team probably knows we're doing it. Now, myself and Soraka and Darius coming out of base, we need our team to kind of wait for us before they engage in anything. We don't want them to all just die before anything happens. Warwick characteristically just ults in onto Diana. Vayne is now in a 1v4, in trouble. Warwick actually kills Diana, which kind of shows how far behind Diana has now fallen, unable to even 1v1 a Warwick. We are now going to clear the wave. We walk over to Baron. It's only Galio and Set left alive. They are on vision in the mid lane. There's no chance of them doing anything to us here. We secure the Baron, and now, with the super minion waves on the side lanes, and with the Baron minions now spawning in every lane, we're going to run down mid and attempt to end the game. Darius pops all of his tools, catches the Galio. Galio has to flash out. Set now in trouble. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, why are we even trying to kill them, right? We can just end the game. So I'm just destroying the mid lane tower. My team is now just trying to get kills. I'm just going to end the game. I'm here for the win, not for the kills. So here we just end the game by ourselves. And as usual, I'm going to leave you guys with the stats. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.